Man, this day could have gone from bad to worse, but the Miami Dolphins dodged a bullet. What is up, Finn fans? Bad day from the Miami Dolphins. I'm just going to spoil it right off the jump. Dolphins didn't do well at joint practice with the Detroit Lions. They got dominated yet again. Again, this is practice. This is training camp. I'll go into try not to freak out too much, but also tell you why you probably should be concerned. But to, not beat around the bush and got right into it. Chop Robinson was carted off the field. When it happened, everyone that it's a Miami Dolphin fan, and if you are a football fan, kind of all held our collective breaths until we got some news, and we got this news from Chop himself. He said, "I'm good. Y'all nothing serious." Thank the Lord in heaven. Last time we heard something like that, that was from Jalen Phillips, who also, he got injured, and then he came out and said, "I'm good. Don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah." So, again, I'm going to knock on wood, but we've been hit with the injury bug a little too much, losing too many players. The fact that Chop came out and he says, "I'm good, nothing serious. Hopefully it's just, a bruising, a tweak, a this or that." And he's going to take tomorrow off. He's going to take Saturday off, and then maybe be back on Tuesday when training camp opens back up after their game against the Detroit Lions. But geez Louise, can we just stop? But the funny thing is, it's not just the Miami Dolphins. Like, Shedeur Sanders dealing with an oblique injury. Found that out today. We have corners getting knocked out, not just Miami Dolphin corners, but just corners around the NFL getting knocked out with torn ACLs, Achilles injuries. You have Landon Dickerson of the Eagles dealing with an injury. Like, so many injuries during training camp and preseason. It's getting a little ridiculous. So can the football gods just stop? And can we all the teams go into the regular season healthy? Like, is that all possible? But we're going to get into this. Gonna hear from McDaniel and then some play-by-play. There's some good. I'll say this. It wasn't all bad. There was some good, and I do have a beat writer for the Lions who gave us a little bit of perspective, but it was another day like the Chicago Bears day, and hopefully they have a rebound on Saturday and kind of do more during an actual game than practice. So sorry again for clearing my throat. Mike McDaniel said the Dolphins will have wide receiver Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle for today's joint practice versus the Lions. Jalen Phillips won't suit up. I'll give you a little spoiler. It like barely anything. I think they stretched and they did a little work here and there. They barely out there. This is his response to linebacker Grant Stewart about them not being a physical football team.
Have any reaction to Grant Stewart essentially putting into question the practice habits of this team?
No, I don't. I mean, literally does not affect me whatsoever. I hope we get the absolute best practice from Grant and everybody else between the whistles like that, and that makes us better. So, I think there's a lot of noise, and I've filed that into the noise category.
Take with that what you will. Not very convincing, I'll say that. This is from Alan Pupar. He says Dolphins attendance for joint practice. Those who look like they won't be practicing are Alec Ingold, Austin Jackson, Keon Smith, Andrew Meyer, Baron Matos, Jalen Phillips, Mo Kamara, and Ashton Davis. Elijah Campbell has been seen at practice after the injury scare against the Chicago Bears. Then we got some plays here. Julian Hill beat Grant Stewart over the top in one-on-ones. Very nice to hear Julian Hill get some work there and actually having a very productive rep. Tua hits Devon Achane down the field on the sideline to start 7-on-7s. Amon St. Brown is a great challenge for the Dolphins corners. He's an artist of the route runner. Got Jack Jones twisted in one-on-ones. Zach Wilson just intercepted in 7-on-7s by Nick Whiteside. Either he was picked by Early, he was picked by safety Ian Kenley off a tip, so that's 2 interceptions for Zach Wilson. Quinn Ewers impressing in the first 2 throws and 7-on-7s. Andrew Armstrong and Theo Weiss had nice 1v1 reps. Then they had catches in their first 2 reps on 7-on-7. Armstrong's a nice catch off frame and a wide throw from Ewers. 7-on-7 time, Willie Gay and Mika Fitzpatrick stops Lions tight end Sam Laporta from a short gain. Jordan Brooks would have just killed Amon-Ra St. Brown after the wide receiver catch. A hospital ball from Jared Goff. Jeez, Doug. St. Brown just went to the house on a streak from what I believe to be the slot corner Armstrong in coverage. Kenneth Grant just drove back Lions offensive lineman Tate Ratledge and a 1-on-one's. Definitely a win. Love hearing that because Tate Ratledge is a good offensive lineman, and I love hearing Kenneth Grant getting that win on that rep, especially driving him backwards. Lions offensive lineman Penei Sewell easily handles Chop Robinson. Quinnen Bell and Derek McClendon are easily winning their reps. Chop lost another rep to Penei Sewell, gained much more ground this time. Tua throws Westbrook over the top, overthrows Westbrook over the top in 7-on-7s. Julian Hill earlier was open over the top but dropped the pass. Estridge and Malik both had catches from Tua in 7-on-7 period. Both good separation with the ball on them out of the break against the Lions' top coverages, guys. Zach Wilson responds from his interception earlier with a nice pair of throws, one downfield to A.J. Henning. If you listen to the podcast and you want to see what just happened to me, go to the YouTube channel. I had the biggest brain fart and my body just contorted. Anyway, Grayson Murphy adds to the success that Quinnen Bell and Derek McClendon had in their reps. To start 11-on-11 works, Tua was sacked, seemed to come from the vicinity of Patrick Paul on the left side. Achane was in pass protection. Paul and Jonah escort right around the corner for a good gain on a toss. First play on 7-on-7s, Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown torched cornerback Jack Jones. Zach Wilson missed a wide open Eric Uzakama, did make a nice throw to Pharaoh Brown, though. Neither Tyreek Hill nor Jalen Waddle seen during any drills working against the Lions. Jalen Phillips, Anthony Weaver went to check on Chop Robinson, who went down, and again, we have the update that he is fine. Grant Stewart seen tracking Ollie Gordon on a wide run, tackling to the ground. 11-on-11s, Goff found Amon-Ra St. Brown for 15 yards, Bonner in coverage. Gibbs runs for 10. Good coverage by the secondary. Check down to Amon-Ra St. Brown for 5 yards. And that's probably something you're going to see more in the regular season or maybe in the preseason, is the Dolphins aren't going to let you beat them over the top. So they're going to give up the underneath and track down and make the tackles, especially with the corners that we have. Hopefully it works. I don't know if it will. Jordan Brooks forces a fumble on David Montgomery. Recovery by the running back. Jordan Brooks is out to play. Chop Robinson, day at the end of his last play. Essentially, again, we know everything's good. Gibbs rushes up the middle for about 7 yards. Jared Goff connected with Jamo. I think that's short for Gibbs. On a 5-yard drag, a hospital ball because Dante Trader would have blown him up. Jack Jones with the tackle for loss on running back Craig Reynolds. Reynolds responds with a 20-yard run up the middle. Devon Achane had a nice gain coming around on a run with some misdirection. Aaron Brewer was getting after it, finding someone to block down the field. Love hearing that. Lions hit an explosive pass, but Trader is there for a big hit. This time he makes it. Didn't see Jonah to start team drills after he seemed to be favoring his hand in the 1v1 reps, but he's been back in the lineup since. Geez, can we stop with the injuries? Goff is sharp, 3 completions, 2 into tight windows. Sealer beat the left guard for a sack on the next play. More 11-on-11s incoming. Lions tight end Sam Laporta makes a leaping 20-yard catch. Jordan Brooks in coverage. Goff finds Amon-Ra on a tight window throw across the middle for about 10 yards. Storm duck in coverage. Goff finds a wide receiver Khalif Raymond on the sideline. Come back for 15 yards. Couldn't see who was in coverage. And then finally, Zach Sealer gets a sack on Jared Goff. Then Goff finds Amon St. Brown across the middle for 20. Jack Jones with a pass breakup on Hendon Hooker's pass to Reynolds. False start on the Lions offensive line. Isaiah Johnson with a good open field tackle on Lions tight end Zach Horton. Zach Wilson sacked by Lions Roy Lopez. So I'm going to take a break from just reading off here. So far, Dolphins aren't doing great. And again, it's no spoiler that they had a rough day of it today. They got to get it together. Again, it's practice, and I'll go into my little spiel afterwards. So it is practice, and we shouldn't look too far into it, but also you should take some notes and some notice about what is happening. To his next period in teams was tough sledding. Coverage was good, and he was forced to throw it into tight windows or create. Estridge continues to stand out with Reek and Waddle rehabbing. He made a nice catch on an intermediate throw. Back-to-back Zach Wilson throws to the deep sideline. One overthrow to Estridge, and then one underthrow to Tariq Black. Goff dialed in, has a small window in the red zone, fits it in for a touchdown. Next play, Jordan Brooks in 1v1 with Gibbs in the B gap and runs right over to him. Next play, he has a pass breakup. Tua threw away his first ball, but then Achane took another run around the corner for 10. Then goes to Waddle for a touchdown. So it seems like the 7-on-7s and the little stuff Waddle is out there. Terrell Dotson this time shuts down Lions run. Sealer, Grant, and Benito are stacking things up. Just before I hit the send, they hammered one in for 5 yards. Got good surge that time, had an effective double team on Benito. I'm here, and that's something I'm also hearing, is that they're double teaming, especially Jordan Phillips, who I'm hearing is doing very well. They're double teaming these guys, which is good to hear, which is going to leave other things open when we actually start to show the defense we're going to run. Amon St. Brown just punted the ball in the air after catching a red zone touchdown. Goff finds J-Mo for a 20-yard touchdown. Great tight window throw. Kendall Sheffield in coverage. Wonder if the lack of full speed action would have prevented the catch because a few Dolphins were there, probably. And again, that's the other thing you have to take with these practices, right? Like I said, there is some of a concern you should take from the practice, but also they're not playing full speed. They are not tackling to the ground. They're not trying to hit each other, whereas in a full game, they're probably trying to knock that ball out, trying to light him up and make sure he doesn't catch it. So again, I'll go more into a spiel about this later. Jordan Brooks stops Lion running back Jamar Gibbs. I had a tackle for loss. Brooks forces incomplete to Sam Laporta. Terrell Dotson, Jordan Brooks combined to stop Lions running back David Montgomery for short gain. And Gibbs scores 6-yard touchdown. Cornerback Jack Jones is chirping at Lions offensive line. Brooks had to come grab him. Good. I love hearing the stops from Brooks and Dotson, and I love hearing the chirping. Good. Amon St. Brown with a nice one-handed catch on Jason Marshall Jr., who was in tight coverage. Just perfect placement by Jared Goff. Amon St. Brown with back-to-back touchdowns, this time on a 5-yard out on Jack Jones. Montgomery scores a 5-yard touchdown. Jack Jones again with the Lions O-line. A lot of pushing and shoving, but nothing major. Cam Smith citing the cornerback just made a nice hit on the Lions Isaac Tesla to stop the play after 5 yards. Nice to hear that. Grayson Murphy with a great backfield stop on the run by running back Deion Jackson. To a red zone period ends in a sack. Zeke Biggers and Grayson Murphy stack up the goal line. Zach Wilson with a tight throw to the hands of Eric Uzakam on the goal line, but he dropped it. He bounced back with a touchdown to Tariq Black in the corner of the end zone to wrap up the red zone period. New Dolphins running back Mike Boone fumbled in the red zone, which is not good to hear. Mika Fitzpatrick feels a cross coming his way and cuts it off, which is nice to hear. Passing offense continues to result in the same throwaways. Travis Wingfield said he lost count. More 11-on-11s. Gibbs ran a swing that he took for about 10 yards. David Montgomery stopped after a short run. Mika Fitzpatrick with a pass breakup. Jordan Brooks with the great open field tackle on Montgomery, who was stopped just a few yards after catching the swing route. Brooks and Dotson combined for a tackle on Ronnie Bell for 6 yards. Goff finds JMO across the field from 20. Mika was with a nice pop at the end of the play. Cameron Good stops Craig Reynolds for a tackle for loss. Wilson goes back to black and draws a PI from Lions' Eric Hallett. Good drops in coverage and puts a shoulder on the football on a crossing tight end to jar it free. Pair of sacks now against Tua and the Dolphins ones. First one definitely a coverage sack. Move the ball, end of period. Lions D got a 4th and out. Julian Hill caught 2 balls, 1 first down, but then a false start and a pass breakup on an incompletion to Wright resulted in a turnover on downs. Situational period begins with back-to-back short yardage catches from Dolphins tight end Julian Hill, then a false start. Lions safety Kirby Joseph with a pass breakup on D. Estridge. Incomplete pass to Jalen Wright on a 4th down. Ball was a little high, turnover on downs. Then the Lions drive begins with a 20-yard pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who ran a deep in route. Cornell Armstrong in coverage. Goff finds tight end Brock Wright for a short yardage gain. 5 yard out for wide receiver Ronnie Bell, giving Lions the first down. Goff connects with tight end for a 7-yard gain. Goff finds Amon-Ra St. Brown, ruled incomplete. Ref said the ball touched the ground. Looked good though. Now 3rd down. Goff pass to JMO goes long on the opposite side. Storm Duck draws a PI. A little scrimmage just happened in the middle of the field when practice was over. Unsure who was involved. Apparently it was ex-Lions of Fatu Milifanu, and I don't remember who the other guy was. But there you go. That was practice. And a lot of Lions beat writers saying, believe Jason Williams and Fatu, it was Jameson Williams, there we go, and Fatu Milifanu were the ones who fought. Also, Lions beat writers said either the Dolphins are really bad or the Lions are just juggernauts. Not a great day for Miami. This was the most lopsided joint practice I've ever seen. Lions dominated both sides. Lions just out everything the Dolphins for 2 hours here. A lopsided joint practice as I've ever seen one. But then you get some perspective here from another Lions beat writer. He says Dolphins' second-year edge rusher Derek McClendon was easily the most impressive defensive player today, earning pass rushing wins in both one-on-ones and team drills. He even lined up inside and rotated with the first team. He sure seemed like a keeper. Grayson Murphy and Zach Sealer were other standouts, even as their defenses were marched up and down on the field. Before we get into little things that Tua said and other stuff, I will say this. Take what you're hearing and take what is happening seriously, right? This is something, obviously, that is not good, but also let's let it play out before we cry that the sky is falling, because like one of the plays said, if this was live action, some things probably wouldn't have happened. There might have been more sacks, more physicality on the defensive side of the ball, especially from our pass rushers. So, it's a bad practice, and it's another joint bad practice. And thankfully, I will be there for the joint practice against the Jaguars. So I'll be able to tell you really what's going on. And we should have a better practice against the Jaguars. And we are facing a top draft pick in Hunter. But again, it's a bad practice, and they have to respond to this. I said they had to respond to the Bears, and they come out and do this. Well, now you have a 1-day turnover with tomorrow. You got to respond. 100,000%. You have got to respond, and then we'll see how they do on Saturday. Because Saturday is essentially the dress rehearsal, the second preseason game. Normally it's the third preseason game when we had 4 of them, but the second preseason game is the dress rehearsal, and I expect to see 2 of more than one drive. Got to respond on defense and on offense. You got to do something in live tackling to the ground style of play, because this just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. They asked Tua about a tough practice and how do you move on from it. He says you don't. He says you face it head on. Tua said it was frustrating a day for the offense, said they never really seemed to be able to get a jump start. And some of that could be because, and again, this is where you kind of take it at face value, because Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle weren't out there for the team drills. So that having Tyreek Hill out there probably would have completely changed the dynamic of the offense. And this is why these rumors swirling around about the Dolphins trading him before August 31st are nonsense, because this offense needs him to be that distraction, I guess you can say. Focus on Tyreek, throw the other way. But they need to have a bounce back tomorrow. Not even just from a fundamental standpoint, but from a more, I was gonna say a moral standpoint, but you know what I'm trying to say. You know, the mentality that they need to have. You know, I like that Jordan Brooks is fighting. I like that the defense is not rolling over. I like all this stuff. But it's got to be better than this. It's definitely has to be better than this. Too many scares on injuries. So we definitely won't have Chop tomorrow. You know, Alec Ingold is dealing with a concussion where that's where the run game physicality is out the window. We have both of our starting receivers limited. That's where most of our offense is out the window. There's a lot of stuff that you could take into perspective. But again, on the other hand, don't just poo-poo what happened today, because it needs to be fixed. And Mike McDaniel coming out saying, you know, it's just more nonsense or more, you know, talking. My man, your team is getting run over. First by not on defense, by the defense of the Chicago Bears, you're getting run over, and now Detroit just manhandled you on both sides of the ball. That just shows how bad the Bears offense is right now. Obviously they are installing a new offense, so it's going to take a hot minute, but Lions are a top 5 team in the NFL, and this is what you're going to get when you're facing a top 5 team. So you want to play with the big boys, you got to be able to handle and stay with the big boys. So we'll see how tomorrow goes. Hopefully it's a bounce back, but today was a bad day. Got a big scare. Thankfully, nothing's wrong. Hopefully we get some news tomorrow that it's, you know, a bruise or whatever, and he'll be good for the 19th, you know, when we open it back up to the public. So comment below, let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I will say this, the sky isn't falling quite yet. Let's see how the season goes. I said this last year. I think I said I gave it till week 4, week 5 when I started, you know, worrying, and around week 4, week 5, I was like, we need to start firing people. So I'm a man of my word, so I'm not going to freak out just yet, but this ain't good. They need to rebound. They need to bounce back. I'll see you tomorrow. But like usual, stay classy. FN's out.